Hey guys, what's up? My name's Kayla from Planning with Kay, and welcome to another video. I'm so excited to be back from holiday and filming this video, which is all about headers in your bullet journal. Switching up the style of your headers is a really easy way to spice up your spreads and add some variation going week to week. So today I'm going to show you guys 19 super easy header ideas that you can recreate or adapt for use in your own journals. Before I get into it, I just wanted to quickly mention that my sticker shop has just reopened and I have a bunch of new listings up, including some of the sheets that you see here and even more. So after this video, don't forget to check out the video description for the link to my shop as well as an exclusive discount code for you guys. So with that, let's get started with the first header. This first header starts out with some simple cursive lettering using a Crayola Supertip. For all of these headers, you can obviously use whatever supplies you want, but I'm going to keep it really simple and use only a darker Crayola Supertip, a light colored Tombow, and a black pen. After I'm done with the lettering, I'm then going to add a drop shadow to the header. Now I'm going to pause right there because one of the most frequently asked questions that I get is how to add drop shadows to your lettering. And it's actually really simple once you get the hang of it. The first step to adding a drop shadow is deciding whether it's going to be a left side shadow or a right side shadow. This just means, is the shadow going to be on the left side of all your letters or on the right side of all your letters? So for a left side shadow, you're going to look back at all of your marker strokes and then add a black line by tracing the left side of each stroke. And for the right side shadow, you'll do the opposite. You'll add a black line to the right side of each stroke. So the important part is that once you decide on either a left side or a right side shadow, you have to be consistent and make sure that your drop shadow goes to the same side for the whole header. As long as you do that, your drop shadow will come out looking right. Here's an example doing a left side shadow with the word hello. I'm going down the word, and for every single stroke, I add a black line to the left side. I'm always remembering to keep the shadow on the left side, and I'm making sure that I get every single stroke of the word. Once you practice this a few times, keeping in mind the direction of the drop shadow, it should hopefully just kind of click eventually and be super easy to do from there. Let me know in the comments below if this drop shadow tutorial helped you guys out at all. So back to the header. I'm adding in the drop shadow to the left side like I just explained, and I'm then just finishing it off with a line down the middle spanning the length of the page. The next header is a box style header, which I love using for a bolder look on my spreads. I start off by making a box across the length of the page, 3 spaces tall, and I fill it in with a light color. In this case, I'm using my Tombow dual brush pen in the color 623. After waiting a few seconds for that color to be completely dry, I then go in with my Crayola to write in the header, being sure to space the word out across the whole length of the box. When I want to make sure that the header is spaced out a certain way, I will often go in lightly with pencil beforehand, just so that I have a rough idea of where my letters should go. If you have difficulty lettering like this, just remember that the key is learning how to control your pen or marker so that you can get uniformly thick downstrokes and thin upstrokes. Just meaning that when you go down, you're pushing harder and you're using the side of the marker, and then when you go back up, you take some pressure off and try to only use the tip of the marker. I know it seems tricky at first, but the more you practice with the same type of marker, the easier it will get as your hand just starts to learn and remember how hard you have to push and the best angle to hold the marker at. Header number 3 is using a normal lowercase print spread across the entire page. If you're ever unsure if your header will fit across the page, you can always just do some quick math to figure out how big each letter should be. I know in this case that the page is 26 boxes across, and the word Wednesday has 9 letters. So 26 divided by 9 comes out to an even 3. So I'm making each letter 3 boxes wide and then 3 boxes tall. I then just put a black line underneath to finish off this header. For the next one, I'm going in with that light Tombow again, and I'm just doing a quick, messy swipe across the page. Don't worry about making this straight, the whole point is for it to look carefree and quick. After that, I'm going in over it with the header using that Crayola marker from before, and finally adding a drop shadow to separate the header more from the background. Adding a drop shadow is a great way to create more dimension with your header, so if it ever looks a bit flat, try adding the drop shadow and see if that helps. My next header is using smaller letters centered on the page. To center a word on a page, I first figure out where the center of the word is. In this case, Friday has 6 letters, so that means there will be 3 letters on either side of the midline. So then I just find the midline of the page, which in this case is 13 boxes in, and I'll pencil in the word around that center line with FRI on the left and DAY on the right, each letter being 2 boxes wide. This is a surefire way to center any header just by finding the middle of the word based on how many letters there are, and then lining it up with the middle of the page. My next header is a continuous cursive header. For this, all I do is write the header in cursive, being sure to continue the first and last letter to the edges of the page with a line. This is a really easy but effective way to jazz up a plain old header, and I finish it off with, you guessed it, a drop shadow. Next up, I'm going to do a header with some big block letters. Each letter is going to be 3 boxes by 3 boxes, with 1 box spaced in between each letter. Whenever I do block letters like this, I almost always trace it with a pencil super quickly beforehand, just because every single time I try to freehand block letters, I end up messing something up, or one letter looks super wonky, especially with the harder letters like S. I can never get it right on the first try. So after I pencil it in, I'm then tracing it with a black pen, and then filling in the letters with that light Tombow. I'm then going in with the darker Crayola to add a thick colored drop shadow to the block letters. Next up is an overlapping box header. I start off by lettering the header in the middle of the page with a Crayola. I then go in with my ruler and a black pen, and I draw a box around that header, but I make sure that the box is slightly smaller than the header itself. So that way the box appears to go underneath the letters. This is super easy, you just have to make sure that you lift your pen every time a letter crosses that box. I then add a drop shadow to the box itself to add even more dimension to this header, and that's it. The next header is similar to the box letters I did for Sunday, but it's an easier sort of cheat way to do it. I start by taking my light Tombow to write a header in plain lowercase letters, making each letter 2 boxes wide by 2 boxes tall. Then, going in with the black pen, I outline the entire header, which makes the letters really stand out from the page. If you aren't very good at doing block lettering, you can always use the same exact technique of writing the header out with a light marker first, and then tracing the letters with a darker pen. Once I'm done tracing, I just take my Crayola to add a line spanning the length of the page. Okay, where are we? I think we're at header number 10 now. So I first go in with my light Tombow and I do a really messy scribble across the page. I then go in and letter the header in over the scribble with the Crayola, and I finish it off with a drop shadow again to separate the letters a bit more from the background scribble so that it doesn't look so flat. Header number 11 is a banner style header. I start off by writing in the header in the middle of the page, being sure to leave some extra room on either side for the ends of the banner. I then start my banner off with a rectangle, and I use the same technique that I did with the overlapping box header I did earlier to make the bottom of the Y at the end of Thursday look like it's in front of the banner. This is a really small detail, but I find that making things overlap like this adds a lot more visual interest to headers like this. The main part of the banner here is 3 boxes tall, and then on each side I make this little flag shape which is also 3 boxes tall, but shifted down 1 box, making sure that the 2 sides of the banner are symmetric. I then just add a few shading lines to the ends of the box, and I finish off the banner by filling in the little folded bits. The next header is really simple. I created a box slightly offset from the left, and I connect that box with lines on either side to span the width of the page. You can then put whatever type of font and whatever type of header you want in this box, but I went with some super simple capital letters where each letter is 1 box wide and 2 boxes tall. Next is another way of using that light color as a background color. I start off by doing a straight line of the light Tombow across the whole page. I then take the Crayola and I write my header across the entire page using the style Cursive, where the letters are a bit smaller and more spaced out. And of course, I finish this one up with a drop shadow. My next header uses just my 1 Crayola marker. I start off doing a cursive header just like the continuous cursive header that I did before, where the cursive extends with a line to the ends of the page. I then continue those lines to create a sort of continuous line box around the word. So I extend the left side of the header up and to the right, and then the right side down and to the left, leaving the box open. Next up is a smaller box header. I start by creating a box with my black pen, and I then fill it in with the light Tombow. I then just finish it off by writing in the header with this small lowercase type in the darker Crayola color. Next up is another example of the overlapping box header, just this time using only the weekly abbreviation as the header. I first write the header with the Crayola, and I then draw the box in around the letters, making the overlaps even more extreme by making more of the word hang outside the box. I then give the header a black drop shadow, and I add the light Tombow as a shadow to the box. Header number 17 is another banner or flag style header. I start off by lettering out the header with my Crayola, and I then start to make an overlapping box around it. Instead of closing the right side of the box though, I make it into this little flag shape, and I then add some shading lines to the left side, just like I did with the banner earlier. We're almost there, guys. This is the second to last header that I'm going to show you today, which starts off just with some normal cursive writing. Then just like I did with the header across from this, I'm going to outline the entire word with my black pen. This instantly transforms the cursive lettering into an entirely new look, which I finish off with a light color drop shadow. I then just create a line on each side of the header, spanning the width of the page. And finally, the last header is another variation of the overlapping box header. I start off by lettering the weekly abbreviation, sort of lengthening the ends of the word out a bit farther. I then take my light Tombow and I create a box around the header, making sure it overlaps the word slightly. I then just go in and trace that box with my black pen, again being sure to raise my pen whenever the word overlaps the box. This creates a frame around the header that appears to rest behind the word itself. And that's it, guys. We finally made it through all 19 headers. I hope that my explanations were useful and not too confusing, and that watching me set these up gave you some ideas or inspiration for your own journal or planner. I really wanted to show here that even with very simple supplies, you can totally come up with a huge variety of headers that are easy to set up, quick, and functional to use in your journal. If you do end up recreating or adapting any of these headers in your own journal, definitely post a photo on Instagram and tag me in the photo at planningwithk so that I can see all of your amazing recreations. All right, before I sign off, just another reminder that my shop has just reopened. Then you can find the link and a discount code in the description below. So go now and check out all of the new sticker sheet listings that just went up. Well, guys, that's it for today. If you liked any of the headers that I made, definitely press that like button and let me know in the comments below if you'd want a part 2 of this video where I come up with even more header ideas for you guys. Follow me on Instagram at planningwithk if you're not already, and don't forget to read the description for all the links to my shop and social media accounts. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.